So, welcome to Penang. I heard that your cousin is interested in MM2H.
Yes. Actually, we were concerned about a few things. For example, like what sort of visa do you have that is suitable for us, especially my cousin who is very into investment. But there's a concern where he may actually bring his spouse and his children. And he was thinking that maybe he may focus on the education if it's not suitable for him.
Okay, interesting topic. I do have, in fact, our company have a lot of enquiries, and a big majority of them is, what visa should I take? And it is very unfortunate that the social media is giving out a lot of wrong information, and even on the internet as well. Of course, there are some people who gave out the wrong information because they don't know about it. And in fact, I do hear some of the licensed agents, especially the new ones, they may have a tendency of misunderstanding the requirements. So let me just give you the whole rundown of this. Of course, if you have any questions, you can always talk to me later on. The most important question that you have to answer, or your niece or nephew, whoever it is, that needs to answer is, does he or she want to stay in Malaysia very long term? When I say very long term, means almost like forever, living up to the end of his life here. The other one is short term. Short term is a maximum of 10 years only. Okay. Short term means that regardless of what happened, whether you are having a big issue in US or in UK, or you don't like it here, or you like it here for that matter, at the end of the period, you must leave. So let me give you a rundown for all the types of visas that might be applicable for your nephew. Is it nephew or niece?
Niece.
Niece, okay, for her. So number one here is student visa and guardian visa. Student visa is meant for the student studying here up till the age of 18 only. Because after 18, they go to university, there's no more guardian. Malaysian government doesn't expect you to take care of your adult kids in university. So student visa is given up to 18 years old. And up till then, there is something called the guardian visa, where it is given to the mother. Yes, there are cases where they give to two parents, father and mother. But don't bang on it, because I was told it was not easy to get. So it is only usually given to the mother. So if the father wants to come in, she has to do in and out, which is rather dangerous if it is long term. You cannot just go in and out all the time. Eventually, you're going to get stopped, blacklisted, and whatever visa that you apply in Malaysia will not be valid anymore because they're not going to give it to you. So this is the student visa and the guardian visa up to the age of 18. That's it. No more. Okay. Now, the other one here a lot of people are talking about is the RP for ex-Malaysian. Since I know just now that probably you told me that it is an ex-Malaysian, let me share with you. Up till today, RP for ex-Malaysian is actually a myth for us because we have yet to see one passport with a stamp on it. I do have one client who said he applied for it, but of course there were no news. As far as I know, RP for ex-Malaysian doesn't exist. But even if it does exist, it is not permanent. Now, you must ask your niece, does she want to stay here for as long as she lives? Usually for ex-Malaysians, yes, because they were born here, they were raised here, they went to US to study, and then after that, when they come back, they want to stay here after they have worked successfully in the country. So, RP, yes, it is valid now, but who knows, 5 years from now, it may not be valid. So you're back to square one again. You're going to ask this question in 2030. Oh no, my RP is not valid anymore. What should I do? Do I need to get a new one? Or do I need to go to MM2H, which may not be the case at all? because MM2H in 2035 may be even more difficult than what it used to be now. That is 2035, 2030. So RP for ex-Malaysian, you are just postponing the problem to the future. Unless you say that in 2030, 2035, if they make a decision saying that no, we are not going to proceed with the RP anymore, if it ever exists, then what are you going to do in 2035? Apply for a new MM2H, probably with ringgit 1 million in fixed deposit. I don't know. That's 2035. So RP, I wouldn't recommend. You are just pushing the problem into the future. Now, the next one, there's 3 more to go. Next one is Dirantau. Dirantau is super short term, which is the digital nomad visa. Not only does she have to pay for the income tax in Malaysia, there are certain categories and requirements that she may not fit in. If she's a housewife, probably it's difficult to get. And maximum is only 2 years, that's it. 2 years, that's it. Maybe in future they say they can extend it. But do you want to bet on it? You see? So that is the Dirantau, very short term. The next one here, a lot of people are thinking, but once they realize that something is not really that right, they will think twice. And that visa is called the SMM2H, the Sarawak MM2H. It is a 10-year visa, non-renewable. So if you get this visa in 2026, you have to renew, scratch that, not renew. You have to apply as new in 2036.
So
meeting the
apply again.
Yes, and meeting the requirements in 2036. I do not know what the 2036 requirement will be. So again, you think that you do not want to buy a property, or let's go to Sarawak. But if your plan is still long term in Malaysia, then this doesn't help. Because after 10 years, they will say, you need to apply as new again. You can bet that, oh, maybe they will say that they allow for renewal. The question here is, do you want to take the risk? Is it worth taking the risk? I don't know. You have to ask your niece. You see, if you have bought a property here and settled down everything here, and everything is going on, and 10 years later they say that no, you need to buy a property in Kuching and you need to put in ringgit 1 million or whatever it is, I don't know, in 2036. Will your cousin be happy to do that? Probably not. So, Sarawak, if you want to live in Sarawak, then you apply for Sarawak. If you want to live in Peninsular Malaysia, don't apply for Sarawak. Because one of the clauses inside there is that you must stay in Sarawak or outside of Sarawak. And that means that you cannot stay in Peninsular Malaysia. I have a link I can share with you all. And it was published by the newspaper in Singapore. They're asking this question, so I will send it to you. Now, the last one comes to it is Peninsular Malaysian version. You have gold, silver, and platinum. So, most of the people will take the silver. Of course, there's another category called SEZ or SFZ. That is for a special zone in Johor Bahru. Let's talk about silver first. This MM2H was improvised by PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, in 2020-2021 during the MCO or shutdown due to COVID. So they put in a lot of effort to make sure that it meets all the needs of the MM2H people. There are 3 very important things inside there. Number 1, income into Malaysia or money brought into Malaysia is not taxed. That's very important. You earn so much money outside, you do not want to be taxed here. Number 2 is when you renew every 5 years, you see it stated renew every 5 years, you just need to show your passport, medical checkup and medical insurance if you're less than 60 years old. Nothing else. So it means there are any changes to the requirements, it doesn't impact your needs. It doesn't. It's only for the new one. So it's always good to apply as early as possible rather than later. Because later, things will change. I never know. I don't know. See? So it states there very clearly. Explicitly say you renew every 5 years by just showing these 3 documents. And the last one and the most important is, in the event that the main applicant passes away, let's say your niece, I'm not sure, is she married? Probably she is. Let's say her husband is the main applicant. So if the husband passes away, the visa automatically goes to her. next of kin. If of course the husband has to designate that she will take over the visa in the will. But she takes over the visa and her children can be with her until the children are 34 years old unmarried. Now, which visa gives you such a long period for your children until they are 34? And since they are ex-Malaysian, so the parents are here. But if let's say the husband is a foreigner, the husband can bring in her parents as well. So it's a win-win situation. Yes, you need to buy a property. That was one of the turn-off for many of the people here. But the thing here is, if you intend to stay here very long term, what's the problem in getting a property? In fact, it would save you a lot in rental. That's the main purpose. I believe that is the main purpose that PwC put in as a requirement that you need to buy a property. Because as you grow older, the share of the rental, let's say you rent 4,000 ringgit. If your rental is 4,000 ringgit, at the end of the day, the 4,000 ringgit will account for a large chunk of the retirement living expenses. How much can you spend when you're 80 years old? The food, not a lot, but your rental is a lot, so that's why they put in as a requirement. Coming back to this one here, the last one is PVIP. PVIP is something that people take it or they don't take it. There's nothing that I want to consider PVIP. One of the reasons is you must pay the government 200,000 ringgit in participation fee. So it means that if you decide not to buy a property and you want to go for PVIP, you immediately lose 200k already. You set yourself back by negative 200k ringgit. So if you want to do business and you don't mind being under the immigration, then it's up to you. However, I would like to stress, it is clearly stated in the approval letter that there is no transfer of principal. It means the main applicant passes away, that's it, done. The wife doesn't get anything. It's stated very clearly. And when it comes to renewal, it was never explicitly stated that it can be renewed. So let's say at the age of 65, you get the PVIP. And let's say, assuming that they never cancel the visa and they're still around, that I don't know, I cannot tell. 20 years later, when you're 85 years old, they say you cannot renew. So what are you going to do? You're already here for 20 years, everything is all here. So there is no long-term thing because it was never explicitly said that it is renewable. Yes, they can do investment, they can do this one. The only thing is that if they are on MM2H for silver and gold, or even SEZ, they cannot invest in a local company. For example, like, you and your friend want to set up a car wash. No, you cannot. Yes, they can invest in stock markets, in mutual funds, but not in private businesses like your car wash, you set up a cafe or whatever it is. So that's the difference. So you have to ask your niece whether is she planning to stay here very long term. Now there is a cognitive dissonance here. It means that, oh, I will only do it later on in future. The future can come very fast. Because this MM2H is actually forcing people to rethink their strategy moving forward. You can lock in now and get the visa, or you can get the visa later but meet any changes to the requirement later on.
I heard about this Labuan and also this SVH and MM2H. Are they real? Because it's like I heard about it and then later on, especially the SVH and MM2H is just gone like that.
Okay, Labuan visa is meant for people who wants to do business in finance. Because the cost of setting up this is expensive. Very expensive. And it is only very short term, 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, 1 year.
Oh, it's not renewable?
Yes, you can, but you have to show that your company is making money. Each time you may need to spend like 20k, 30k per year just to renew it. I don't know. I was told, but it is not a long-term visa. It's meant for those who want to do, like setting up a company for cryptocurrency or financial services, or something like, you set up something like a payment gateway, something related to finance. SBH is Sabah. The only problem with Sabah MM2H is you need to buy a condo there. So not many people are interested in buying a condo in Sabah. It's always different. Like, let me remind you again, it's also very important. There is a difference if you go there as a tourist or if you go there to stay long term. Big difference. You go over to that place, you like it as a tourist doesn't mean that you like it as a resident. I give you an example. You go to country X, very beautiful scenery, very nice, everything is good. But once you start to stay there, you realize number one, healthcare sucks. Example. Number two, the taxation is very high. Number three, it is very inefficient, the government, and maybe it's also corrupt. So yes, you go there as a tourist, it's only 3 days, 4 days, you like that place. So bear in mind that the place that you want to stay, it may not be the same as the place that you want to stay very long term. Being a tourist is different from staying there. Okay, I think I've given you quite a lot to think about it. Do you have any questions that you want to ask?
So let's just say, for example, my niece is gonna bring her child here, but after when she reach, like the child reach 18 years old, and want to continue to study over here, she will be losing her MM2H, right? So, like in this sense, after that, if she graduated and then want to continue again with the MM2H, it's possible, right? But it will be reaching, she will follow up until like 34 years old.
Yes, 34 years old only. After that, she has to apply on her own. So, if they are financially rich and they want the kids to be around, then just apply for them. However, this is on an individual choice because all in all with the property, if you buy in Penang, it's going to be cheaper. The minimum purchase price is about 600k and you can get really good properties. Maybe if you don't like to stay there, you can still rent it out. And totaling in with all the fixed deposit, probably you need 1 million ringgit. So if the family can afford 1 million ringgit to spare, then you can always get one for the child.
So the 600 limit, the limit that you said for the property is just for Penang, like if there are any other states like that?
Every single state has its own minimum purchase price. The main reason for a minimum purchase price is to prevent foreigners from speculating on the lower cost property, so that the locals don't suffer. For tourists, it's 1 million. But they decide to make an exception for MM2H. MM2H, they can buy 2 units at 500k each. So in order to meet the federal level property of 600, so one of the unit must be 600k. So you can buy one 600k, he can stay there. If he stays and he doesn't like it, then he can go somewhere else and stay. Probably the unit is easier to rent out as well. Okay, you cannot force people to stay. If he doesn't like it, what can you do? So buy in Penang, which is cheaper, 600k, 2 units maximum. Third unit, you have to follow the tourist level of 1 million. So it's a very viable option. And schools here are great, healthcare here is fantastic in Penang. So if your cousin, I'm not sure, maybe your cousin comes from KL, used to be in KL, used to be in Johor or what, it depends. You might want to tell her that, and then from there we can take it on. Actually, this is a very good conversation because a lot of people will ask, what kind of visa suits me? And always remember to tell her, there's only one question you need to answer. Do I want to be in Malaysia very long term or very short term, like 10 years? And believe me, when you start to stay here, 10 years is not a long time.
One last question, like for example, just in other countries, like these visa tend to be like political driven. So seeing how the things are, she's a bit afraid that suddenly when the politics in Malaysia start to be shaken, and then this MM2H will be gone for good. Would that happen so far?
Okay, let me tell you. MM2H has been around since 2002. And Domus has done a lot of applications for people. And the latest one that we had was for a Danish guy. We renewed for him in 2022. He applied on his own in 2002. In 2022, he used the same condition as he had used in 2002. So all along, MM2H has been grandfathered. Requirements don't change. And we have changed so many governments in between. It is very unfortunate that during the COVID time, that our government, which was actually not elected by the people, came into power. So that spoiled a lot of things. That gave a lot of bad name to the MM2H. But the requirements are still unchanged. At that time, there were no black and white. Now, it is stated clearly in black and white, which I can share to you all, the PDF file. It states clearly the three things. Number one, renewability. Number two, transferability to the next of kin. And number three, no taxes on the money brought into Malaysia. So, in fact, it's not to say so, in fact, the Ministry of Tourism actually said that they are putting this MM2H in a special division that is completely untouchable by politics. And right now, they have already shown that a lot of money actually flowed into Malaysia due to MM2H. And the political stability in Malaysia has already very much stabilized compared to a lot of other countries. I don't think we're going to get any surprises anymore politically. So, end of the day, you can tell your sister that I'm very confident that there won't be any changes. And if there are changes, it's not because of politics. It's because that maybe too many people came in and they have to increase the requirement. I am not surprised in 2030 they may change the requirements. Part of the reason is US dollars and all other major currencies are going down. So that will be a much bigger impact than whatever changes to the MM2H.
Now you remind me of one thing that I wanted to ask, which is like, for example, what if actually, the spouse is actually from a country like, Russia? What's the chances of,
For the Malaysian government side, as long as you come from the country that is recognized by Malaysia, you will get the visa. Okay. And for the rest of the things, I don't think there's a big issue. Let's work it out on a case-to-case basis. But I think for him, the husband should not be a problem. And for her, you have to talk to her and always tell her that at the end of the day, what's your plan? Do you want to stay here? Come, while waiting for our lunch to come, let's continue from here. There are a few flavors of version of MM2H. I think you may have known lah. Okay, you have the silver, gold, platinum, and the SFZ and SEZ. So, coming to the special financial zone and special economic zone, we never touched about that because we talked about different visas. Now is the flavor of MM2H, the different versions. SEZ and SFZ, there's only one property, which is Forest City in Johor Bahru. So, usually what I tell people is that yes, the fixed deposit is much lower, but you need to go and find out whether you like Forest City or not. Although Domus never sells property. So that's our beauty here. We are impartial. We are impartial. Go, come, let's take the fork, spoon and fork. No worries. Thank you. We are impartial when it comes to property because we don't make any money from any property sale. We only do the visa. So we can give you impartial advice. So for those people who come in here based on the first initial expression on the interest in MM2H, because of the low fixed deposit, I tell them that you go and check out SEZ, SFZ first. See whether you like the property there. Then if you like the property at Forest City, then we can discuss on how we can proceed with the application. You have to go there and see because property purchase is the largest chunk of your investment, quote unquote investment in MM2H. Because the rest of them, like the money that you put in the bank, you can take it back whole, 100%. But property is something that you need to find out. So you have to tell your sister that yeah, she look at the fixed deposit is low, but she must make sure that she's comfortable with Forest City. That's all. Have she been to Forest City?
No.
Ask her to go, specifically make a trip to go there. At least you learn what it is. Now since we are here, we're waiting for the food. A majority of them, probably 90%, will go for silver. For those more well-to-do, they will go for gold, which is 5 plus 5 plus 5, 15 years. They don't give you one shot 15 years. It's 5 plus 5 plus 5. At the end of the 5th year, they want to check whether you meet the minimum days to stay in Malaysia requirement or not. And then they will give you the next 5 years and next 5 years. It doesn't give you in one shot 15 years.
So here's a question. Like since you say majority goes with the silver, and I see gold has like longer years compared to silver. You know, like why they choose silver? Is it just because of the property purchase price and lower, fixed deposit? Because I find that if I can get a longer, years of visa, I would rather put that instead.
It's a personal choice because all visas are renewable. So when you put 15 years, after the 15 years is up, the renewability is 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. It's not 15 plus 15 plus 15. So it all depends on your money. If you have the money, I do have people going for gold because at the end of the day, you can withdraw half out. For gold, you put $500,000 US. You can take 250 out. 250 out is about $1 million plus ringgit. And most of the people will buy properties that $1 million plus or more. So it doesn't matter. And the 250,000 US dollars that is in the bank still lets you have tax-free interest, which is pretty good. So yes, for those who are more well-to-do, they decide that they want to have peace of mind for the 15 years, even though that peace of mind is probably not justified because it says it's renewable, even for silver. But because they have the money, they just say, let's go for it. For silver, it's because of the cost. You need about $1 million ringgit and you can get the visa, assuming that you don't need a mortgage for the property, which is very important because mortgage, some of them are too old to get a mortgage here. So that's the difference between gold and silver. Majority will take the silver is because it is lower cost. It's just like a property. $1 million ringgit property is definitely easier to sell than 5 million ringgit property. So the number of people taking out the gold will be less. However, I'd like to point out something about platinum. Platinum is expensive, $1 million US. You have to buy a 2 million ringgit property, and the participation fee that you pay to the government upfront is 200k. But you are treated like a PR, minus the tax implication. You can set up a business, you can have a job here, and it is for the whole family. If it is husband and wife, 2 children, parents, parents-in-law, everybody can do the business. If you take a visa, if you take a work visa here, you are specified in the visa that you only work for that company. So if a company is producing straw, for example, you have to only work in this company. If your friend comes in here and say, let's set up a business, let's do this. No, you cannot.
So
because
I can't set up my own business.
you cannot set up under employment pass because that is only for straw. But for platinum, you can set up this, you can do this, you can do this, whatever.
I can basically do whatever I want.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
taxable.
Taxable is because you make money in Malaysia. Any money coming in is still not taxed. Now, your children can also work here. Because you cannot set up a business. So if you have 7 people, the visa is 20 years, 200k participation fee, it means it's 10k per year. You divide out by 7 people, it's only like 1,000 to 2,000 per year, which is good. Hi, here, come, sit. This is Rosalind, my wife.
Hi.
Okay,
Hi.
and she's going to have you want to have a dessert, go and get some dessert.
Yeah.
So, platinum, coming back to this one here, platinum, if you really want to set up a business, want to do business here, it's a very good choice rather than employment pass because you can do whatever you want. So that is the difference between each category. I do have a lot of people asking me about this, and I think it's a good idea, to explain to you properly. And of course, we work with people one-to-one. So any questions, please come back to us.
So just in case, let's just say, for example, my niece is going to go for a platinum one, like she want to open a company, like will Domus help with like setting up a company and whatnot?
We will connect people to your needs. What we can help, we help. What we cannot help, we will get people to help. So whether it's real estate, bringing in your cats, your dogs, which hospital is good, we will try our best to help. If we cannot find it, then we will get somebody else to help you. Okay? So I think let's wait for our lunch. Later we can talk about, we are going to talk about the banking system, which we're going to tell me what is your concern because somebody just asked you just now, correct? The banking. Okay? Let's enjoy our lunch shortly.
Yes.